And I'd like to invite to the stage a really nice colleague of ours who just spent a few, was it weeks on an island surfing? Months? Months. She even spent months on an island surfing. I'm doing something wrong here. And so, next up on stage, Meike from Hotelbird.
Thank you, Daniel.
Are you trying to join a party or something and saying like, yeah,
Yes,
I'm
always.
going to change the sustainability of Germany, whatever? Hello. That was very official.
I'm always where the party is. Obviously, it's here.
You're always where the party is.
Obviously, it's here.
So,
yes.
obviously, as you can feel, I know Meike, but some people might not know Meike yet,
Yeah.
or your company, basically. If you would like to introduce yourself for 30
course.
seconds, and then obviously what your company is doing.
Of course. So when I'm not surfing on Fuerteventura, I'm obviously here. But also there, I'm working for Hotelbird. We are a check-in solution provider with a whole platform, not only kiosk or mobile phone keys, but the whole platform. And I'm working at Hotelbird as a strategic partner manager. So everything which comes to integrations is going over my desk. Also reselling, referraling, yeah, and all the synergies between companies is basically on my desk. And I think that's
you're the lucky person speaking to people like us.
Yeah.
Or we are the lucky ones actually
Yeah.
in that context. So, thinking about Hotelbird when it started and then the evolution in the last 2 years, how did Hotelbird evolve in the last 2 years? How did it change from a product, from a service perspective?
So you're directly addressing the COVID situation, right? So yeah, speaking since the pandemic, for Hotelbird, it was quite a good ride actually, because we grow the years before mainly from a key account perspective, because mostly the key accounts had the money to spend in a check-in solution that was like, yeah, it was a nice to have solution back then. And with the pandemic, everything changed on that part. So we were coming as a check-in solution provider from a nice-to-have solution to a must-have solution, where, of course, people wanted to have a hygienic solution in place with little contact to the reception staff. And, of course, now we lost many staff or people in the whole operational process of a hotel. And we have to cope with that in the hotels. And yeah, so we need to find automated solution on the check-in to, yeah, work more automated.
Guys, could you please, especially in the corners, be a little bit more silent? I can hardly hear Meike, and she's sitting next to me. Oh, break,
Really?
applause. Anna, where's your sign? Normally you're running around everywhere and saying like, shut up. We didn't prepare a sign, so it's not Anna's fault this time. Okay, thank you guys. So, obviously everyone went through a hard time the last 2 years and everyone had to adapt a little bit. But did you change your product? Did you adapt your product as well? And what's the next steps,
Yeah.
baby steps you're preparing?
Yeah. So what we changed in the product, coming, as I said, from a key account perspective, we are way more open and like listening to the individual hotels that are talking to us, get more product feedback, of course. And what we changed, especially last year, was also our own sales and distribution approach, which was kind of a normal sales approach at the beginning, the last 7 years. But last year we introduced our freemium model, which basically is the Spotify model, where people can really sign up for an easy to use check-in. It's kind of free to use for everyone who wants to use it. And if you want to have integrations and automated processes, then you start paying for a premium product. And that's basically how we reacted to that change, so that really everybody can use a digital check-in in his hotel process.
We'll copy that. Freemium sounds great. Did everyone hear freemium? Hotelbirds for free? Yes? Okay. So,
Louder.
freemium! From a hotelier's perspective, and obviously in your environment, in your tech environment, whatever, How do you feel like hotels should get prepared to survive to the coming summer? What should they do? What should they consider in changing in their processes?
Can you repeat it?
Can you repeat it?
Sorry.
English, German, Spanish?
Spanish.
So in getting prepared for the next summer, for the next season, right?
Yeah.
And there's perspectives in HR, in structural processes, in check-in processes, whatever. So from an ideal standpoint, from an ideal perspective, how should hotels get prepared?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm super biased. I'm just having one perspective on this, and this is check-in and reception desk. So I only can talk about this part of the guest's journey. But of course, like this summer, it's gonna be crazy, right? So we are now kind of exiting this whole pandemic situation. And I think as we don't extend, from a government's perspective, the short work, I don't know if there's a
Short labor,
whatever, it's gonna stop, right? So maybe even more employees will lose their jobs or gonna quit on the industry. But the summer will be hot because people still want to go out. They have a lot of money on their bank account. They want to spend on holidays, and the holiday season will in Germany be like super good. And we have one more issue in this world, which is not referring to COVID, but I think traveling, especially in the eastern part of Europe, will not be possible. So again, people will stay in Germany. And yeah, we're gonna have lots of tourists and little staff. So we
how do you
have
get
to
prepared?
allocate the staff very, very smart. To really put them where we really need them, where software cannot do the work and where we really need a person to do the work. But yeah, as a check-in provider, there are many on the market. We can really automate the check-in processes. It's no problem anymore. And you really can allocate your staff from these tasks to other tasks.
Just in case there should be any doubters here or online still, is that allowed? Can you check in automatically without signing everything? I know the majority of people might know, but just to speak out and to say, okay, what is the current political situation? What's the law behind that?
Yeah.
What is allowed and what is not allowed?
So it is allowed to check in digitally. There is a law for that. That law is in place since the 1st of January 2020, I think it was. And we have 3 tools and 3 ways how we can actually check in a person digitally. Either this person is authenticated through a SCA process, which is like depending on the credit card the customer is using, or with his e-ID, or through scanning the passport. And those are 3 options how we can check in legally conform a guest on the hotel's reception.
As a guest, like you speak to the market, you look at the market, you look at numbers, you work with the government in preparation of certain things. What would you say, what's the percentage in the market right now using such tools and such possibilities?
Yeah, you mean to like fully check in, or do you also refer to the door
concept,
opening?
we have Martin sitting over there, do the full plug automation process with no one on site where people can check in and do everything.
Yeah. It's hard to tell because it always depends on the concept of the hotel. So we have hotels with no reception desk where we have really 95 to 99% of the customers checking in without contact to people. And when we're speaking about hotels as, for example, the Lindner hotels as a 4 or 5 star hotel chain, they have, if it's good, around 30 to 40 people who actually digitally check in. So yeah, it totally depends on the concept around it and also on the communication which is built around it. So if there are people, they're really searching for a digital kind of hotel where they can do stuff on their own, 24/7 availability, then they choose this kind of hotels where they can actually check in, and then really like over 90% are doing it. Yeah, but overall on the market we have usage rates for our check-ins like in average over all hotels that are working with us, with around 25 to 30% of check-ins.
Is that a model for the entire market? So speaking about, you just mentioned Lindner, and we have Concept who already do that. Is this a black and white thing? Or what do you see like would be the potential future model in the next 2 or 3 years? Will it be a hybrid? Will it be a full plug? Whatever. What's your perspective on that?
You mean in perspective, like what the customer is using?
What the hotel wants to offer, right? And then what the customer is expecting as well.
Yeah. So I really think when I entered Hotelbird, I was always using the word multi-channel platform. And I think this is also something that we learned from retail. Multi-channel is always the way to go. So first of all, we have different and diverse guests with different backgrounds, different ages, different abilities, and we have to prepare ourselves in the hotel to really like tackle and cover all the needs of our customers. So of course, we have to have a multi-channel, and we have to use different tools with several options for the hotel guests to check in. It's a hybrid model.
I just dropped in between, and I don't even know if I'm allowed to drop that, but you will tell me. I just mentioned that you guys are involved with the government with the future planning of certain processes, right?
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit? What that means, what you're doing there, maybe who's part of the group and why?
Yeah, of course. So the government work we're doing is it's not hidden, so we can't talk about that. But talking about names is a little bit critical. So what we're doing with the government is right now is working on the concept for digital check-in. So what most of you might not know is that in the new coalition contract of our new government, on page 30, I think, it's written that the digital, or the process of the check-in must become digital in the next 4 years. So the government really put this down in their coalition contract, and there's gonna be solutions for that in the next 4 years. We are working in a project with the government already to have a smart solution in place to authenticate the people, to also protect hotels from fraud, of course. And yeah, there are several players in that. It's not only a government project, but there are also some bigger players in there. It's also not just a project which is depending or which is only made for hotels. It's a digital identity project which also covers, beside hospitality, opening bank accounts, for example, or having the personal ID in a wallet saved.
Speaking about evolution and about things changing, right, and you're obviously involved in those processes as well, from your perspective, what is currently, or what will be changing in the near future in such a context? What can we expect? Will there be things that make our lives easier? Will it be things that make our lives more complicated? Hopefully not, right? So from the conversations you have, what can we expect to happen?
Who is we? Is we the
hoteliers?
hotelier?
Yes. Speaking for us,
Yeah.
the hoteliers.
Yeah. So I think a very important part for a hotelier is always to understand a software is always just as good as his user. So working in a SaaS company since 8 years now, it's always on the user. So there's always kind of a project management or something that we have to do settings. We need to communicate around that product, and the communication to the guest will always be crucial to every software that I'm using in the hotel operation. But in general, of course, after onboarding a software, after implementing it, or at least doing the decision to implement a software, you have a specific time where you really need to focus on get the project running. This is really something where you have to engage with your software providers and a product and really dive into it, get some communication straight and then out. And then after you went through this whole onboarding process, and after you put your energy in it, then it should be kind of running without much effort, and then it's going to make the life easier. It's more of a long-term investment. Software is, in rare cases, a short-term investment where you have like super fast error ease in a small amount of time.
Are there any questions from the live audience here on site for Hotelbird, for Meike? If you have a question, or if you would raise something, want to raise something, or challenge us, or challenge Meike especially, I'm Switzerland here. Please feel free, raise your hands. We have a microphone coming around, and we still have a few minutes. So I will have an eye on you guys if you want to ask something. From a Hotelbird perspective, and now, well, you spend a lot of time now in the industry already, and spoke to many people. What could be the next evolution step for you guys as a company? What do you have in mind? What's your roadmap? What can we expect?
Yeah, I can really talk about that. As a strategic partner manager, it's mainly on my desk happening. Yeah, where we are going, what we are having like really as a focus for you as a hotelier, but also for us and the guests, is that we really want to reach every single guest who's checking in at a hotel or who's booking the hotel. So what we are looking at right now is not only to make our product better to reach more guests and to increase the conversion for the check-in so that you can actually reduce the staff on the reception desk if needed. But we're also like looking out to find other channels to reach out to guests. So for example, our partnership with Booking.com as an OTA is super important for us to reach certain guests that we wouldn't reach in other cases. So Booking.com has on the guest side a very well-known brand. They open their emails way more often than they do open our emails, and we have a lot of check-ins through that OTA, and then we have a handover through our product into the hotel operation. And this became really important for us as a channel to generate actual check-ins, and we're gonna still focus like in a like midterm basis. We're gonna focus on that, like really increase channels and reach out to as many guests through as many ways as possible. And this also includes, of course, OTAs, but maybe also messaging providers, for example, where we also can generate check-ins through WhatsApp or Facebook or any kind of SMS.
If someone has never heard about Hotelbird or you, I doubt it, right? But if they didn't, if they never heard about you guys and have a traditional check-in, there's a reception counter, people fill in papers and whatever. From a change process point of view, what should be the first step? What should they consider? What should they look at in their operations? What technical setup might they need, et cetera, to get going? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so there are many hotels, I guess. They hear something about a digital check-in, then they like get information about it, and most of them, I think, underestimated how much is actually possible behind this project. It is a huge project in terms of digitalization. Like, you can do a lot behind of that. For example, we can also open doors with smartphones, right? So seeing this whole project as really a major change in the whole operations of a hotel should require a dedicated person within the hotel operation process. And I really think first step would be to really make a commitment for a dedicated person, maybe half time of a full employed person who can actually really take care of such a digitalization project.
Over the course of what time period? Roughly?
I think I mean, if I'm talking about check-in, I think over a period of 6 months, maybe, can be more. But if we're looking into the hotel, like there are many areas where you can digitalize stuff, where you can be more efficient. So I think this should be a person which not just takes care of the check-in process, but also about like other areas. And so I really think every hotel would need to have a change manager who's actively changing processes behind like digitalization opportunities.
Change manager, next person you have to hire.
I think there's a company coming, like the next interview company. Which was it?
Forgot.
I think they have something like that.
I'm not allowed to promote ourselves right now. So we have 8 more minutes or 6 more minutes that we can cover. Is there something specifically that, well, you talk a lot to providers, obviously, but as well to hoteliers. Is there something specific that you wonder in the context of everything you're doing, why hoteliers do something in a specific way, and why they don't change it? It's a difficult question, I know.
You mean we
something you always
wonder
want to ask those guys down there?
So I'm asking the question.
Yes,
now.
you get to ask the question, and I might run around and ask someone.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
I really wonder, like speaking about this dedicated person, like why do hoteliers not invest more effort into like really setting up a proper software and also gaining knowledge about it in the background? To rephrase it, what would we need to do to give you as a hotelier as many knowledge about a software as possible?
I think that's a question that could stand for any tech provider here, right?
Yeah.
Because we all share the same issue. Does any of the hoteliers listening in want to answer that? Razvan maybe, because I see you. You didn't hear the question, right? Why do hoteliers not invest into more staff taking care of smart tech processes? Is that a good summary?
Yeah, more gaining
or rephrase
knowledge.
It? Or gaining knowledge?
I mean, like really trying to understand the software and really trying to understand how this is working and how I can make it better.
My foot fell asleep. I hope I'm not falling here.
I have mine. He can have mine.
Razvan from Aletto Hotels, you can take off the mask.
I don't know. We do invest in staff, taking care of the processes and understanding. Probably because there's no time. It's always, you have a lot of stuff in operation and you don't have the time to think about it. That's the main problem. And that's why probably it's the best things to outsource some of the process.
Oh, I bribed you yesterday. I bribed him.
Yeah, no. But you have to explain them because you can't take something out of the box. And there are a lot of solutions, but every hotel have a special thing, and you have to explain the thing. You have to first to analyze your process and to explain to the experts how to do that. But you always need somebody in the hotel, like somebody.
Need a counterpart, right?
Yes, a counterpart. Yeah.
You mean in the property, like
in the property?
Yeah.
Or on hotel group level, the main office. Yeah. Yeah. It's. I mean, thank you so much. Sorry for getting you in here. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I see similar things, right? When we speak to hotels, they're always busy with 10,000 things, and especially with now the staff shortage, there's a lot of challenges on the daily routines as well, and finding people now opening up towards April, May, obviously finding the right talent. That's a challenge, and obviously then you need to have the right counterparts that really openly speak to you and help you as well, and take the time as well from your side, from our side, from provider side, to educate people if they need it.
Yeah.
And obviously there's totally smart people in hotels, like Feli over there. Hi, Feli, who know what they are doing and that teach us on their operations,
Yeah.
and they don't need us, but they tell us, okay, but I like that, but I want that fixed and that changed. And so it's always a broad mix of that, most likely. All right, I think we did a decent job in covering those almost 30 minutes. Hopefully a big round of applause for Meike as well from Hotelbird. And we'll have a little 2 minutes break now, and then we'll continue with, I think, Open Smile on the fire. So I'm switching the stools, and I'm totally curious what Alex will ask me because I have no clue. So have a drink, get a coffee, mingle with our partners. I cannot emphasize that enough. Ask questions. Like, you can tease me now if you feel like, okay, you didn't want to tease Meike, you can tease me if you want to. And obviously, we hope you have a good time here. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.